Hi everyone, this is Clara with Card Stampin' with Clara. Back with you again with a few more cards. Hope you're having a good week. It's a beautiful sunny day here in North Carolina, and it's warming up for summertime, I guess. So we'll take it as it comes. But as spring and summer comes on, it makes you think about flowers. So today we're going to look at a set of flowers. And before we get started, if you would, go ahead and push the subscribe button so that you won't miss any of the videos that I'm doing. And you'll be able to get the information that you need to make some of the cards. The card that we're featuring today is this card. It's called Just For You. I've got something that looks like steps and 3 vases of flowers. This comes from the Vibrant Vase set, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. The card says, just for you, and celebrate every tiny victory. So I'm going to lay this over and I'm going to show you the set, and then I'm going to show you what else we made from the set. Like I said, it's called Vibrant Vases. There's 3 different vases. They have different designs on them. And then they have another stamp that you can kind of stamp over this one, and it just colors in the vase itself. I try to stamp lightly so that you don't darken out the different designs that are on the vases. But it makes it look real pretty, and the sets of flowers are the same way. They have the outline designs, and then they have where you can stamp into the center. We have a couple of little tulips, and even the leaves that go with the tulips. So this is a really nice little set, and I'll show you what I came up with. It's going to be a simple set. This is going to be what I call a low-budget card tutorial. So we're not using any dies today on the card that I made. Now some of the cards I did use dies on, but for the card that we're making today, we're not even going to use a die. So we'll lay that down, show you the next card I made. This card says you're loved always. It is done in crumb cake and poppy parade. And I used Mossy Meadow on the vase and the leaves and what have you. I used the rectangular stitched dies. And then I used a die from the Be Mine set and just cut out some hearts at the bottom. So I thought that added a nice touch to this one. It's not a Valentine's Day card, but it is a card that you could certainly send to someone that you care deeply about, either male or female for that matter. This one is one that I made out of the Coastal Cabana, and it is just basically a very simple note card. I used some oval dies on this one. And the inside is just blank, I believe, so that I didn't put anything on the inside. You can write whatever you wanted. You can make this any kind of card that you like for it to be. But I even just used the solid color for the vase and for the inside of the flowers, so you can see what that looks like. This is a card that I used an embossing folder to make. This embossing is done with our basket weave embossing folder. And I also took some copper, well, let me reach over here and just show you what it is. It's a little bottle called Bright Copper, and you put it in some alcohol and spritz it on to give it this appearance. So that's how I got this appearance. And then I tied a ribbon and used the Mary Merlot ink to go with the ribbon and the copper. Put some copper touches in foil around it, and on the inside, "You are loved always." And I used a punch to put these little designs and let the copper shine through. So that's turned out very different, and I kind of like the way this one turned out. This one I made into a birthday card. This one is done with the Grapefruit Grove color. It says, "Happy birthday, friend." Another one of little vases of flowers. It says, "Hope your day brings what it should, happiness, health, and everything good." And then I stamped some of the little flowers in the Grapefruit Grove as well down in the corner, just to add a special touch. This one almost looks like something you would hang on a wall. It's also done in the Grapefruit Grove. And I embossed, I'm going to kind of tilt this a little bit, both ways. And hopefully, as I tilt it, you'll be able to see that the vase and the flowers are embossed. And then I took my watercolor pencils or pens and colored in the flowers and the leaves. And I also embossed the hello and put it on a black rectangle that has it's the part of the rectangular stitched framelits there again. And on the inside you can write whatever you like. So that's another option. This one I did with both the Highland Heather and the Gorgeous Grape with some vanilla, very vanilla cardstock, and the label is done out of very vanilla. Used another one of the little vases, and this comes from the stitched label framelit set. Both of these do. And on the inside, I also used that punch again. This one says, "Thanks for understanding." And the last one is a happy birthday. And I used this out of some of the laser cut paper that we have. That's where this white came from. And I put it on Balmy Blue and Night of Navy. And then Time to Celebrate. So those are the options that I came up with for this particular set. Like I said, it's simple and it's what I call low budget. You can actually cut the paper with a pair of scissors, and you wouldn't have to have framelits. Of course, if you've got some kind of paper cutter, it'd be great. The Stampin' Trimmer is being done away with, and I wouldn't advise you to purchase that right now because you're going to have an item that you might not be able to get the extra blades for a little bit later on. So just bear in mind, this is something that you can do very simply. I'm going to lay out the parts to this particular one, and I've already gone ahead and done part of it, so just to save time, but I'll show you how to stamp these particular flowers. I didn't even use the stamparatus for this. I just used a little block that I had, and you can do that too to keep the cost of your investment down for the, if you're just getting started particularly. What I started with was 2 pieces of the Very Vanilla. This is going to be part of the front. And this is a Mossy Meadow piece that I'm going to lay in there behind. And then, of course, this is the basic card base. It is very vanilla. It is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored at 4.25 inches. So that's the card base. And inside the card base, I'm going to put another layer of Mossy Meadow and the other piece of Very Vanilla that I stamped Celebrate Every Tiny Victory. So I'll lay that over to the side, and this won't take long as a lot of it's already done, but I'm going to show you how I stamp these flowers so you will know. First of all, let's talk about this wood textured paper. There's 3 strips that are 1 inch wide each, And the first strip is 1 inch by 3 3/4 inches, which is exactly the width of the Very Vanilla. The second layer is 1 inch by 2 1/2 inches. And the top layer is 1 inch by 1 1/4 inch. And what I did was I just cut strips of 1 inch and then lay down the first one. And the best thing to do is just lay them down and kind of get them in the direction that you want them to be put on. So I glued this one on, then I laid this next to it and glued it, and then put this one on and glued it. And as you can see, you can't really tell where they went together. They went together nicely. So after I got this built onto my cardstock, then I started stamping the flowers. And as you can see, I did stamp this flower vase. This is the one we're going to work on. As you can see, these are filled in. I hope I'm not getting too close. These are filled in, and they also have designs on them. This one just has a design on it. So the way we're going to fill that one in, I'm going to lay it here. And if I haven't lost my Mossy Meta ink pad, which I forgot to lay out, okay, I have retrieved my Mossy Meta ink pad, which is this, and we'll proceed here. The one thing that I would caution you about, these are photopolymer stamps, and the one that I'm going to stamp over, as you hopefully can see, is not going to have any designs on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp this lightly. I don't want it to be too dark. And I'm going to move this where I can see it, and then I'm going to stamp directly over this image. At least that's what I am going to try to do. Okay. All right. I might have got up a little bit on that one, but I was trying to do it without getting completely away from the camera. But anyway, you can get over them and they'll look nice when you get done. The next thing I'm going to do is stamp the with Daffodil Delight and make those flowers yellow. Well, I seem to be, per usual, being clumsy. But with the Daffodil Delight, these are the little flowers. Well, I think if I were working for pennies today, I wouldn't get a penny. All right, let's try that again. All right. I'm going to kind of get the orientation on this before I get ready to stamp it, so I'll know kind of how I want to come down on it. So I'm going to stamp this good with the Daffodil Delight. Okay, let's hope this is pretty close. All right, as you can see, that's not quite dark enough, or not for me anyway. I've got a little ink here on the edge of the ink block. All right, wipe that up a little bit and we'll try it again. Okay, let's see if this will do it. All right. Maybe one more time. These dry out a little bit different than they look when you're first stamping them. We'll slide this back. Well, you want to try your best to get it over it. You might not be able to see right now, but I have to get it back where I can see what I'm doing. I'm sorry, but the better look you get at it, the nicer your job will be. Like I said, I got up there a little bit, but what I'll do is probably take one of my watercolor markers and put a little edge on it. That'll make it look better. Something I can advise you about is please make sure these things are really clean. I'm using my simple chamois, and I don't know of anything that cleans them as well as that. But if you don't get those clean to start with, they're not going to stamp very nicely. Now then, got a little fuzz there. Right here, what I'm going to do, and I want you to be able to see this. This stamped just a tiny little bit above where I wanted it to. And it was just because I didn't have it pulled out close enough to do what needed to be done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pen, which is the Mossy Meta, there again, same color. And that is the wonderful thing about Stampin' Up. You can have water markers and you can have ink pads and you know, they all match. Now, I'm going to outline that if I don't bobble here a little bit. And make this a little darker at the bottom. Now, you see how much difference that looks? It fixed that little problem up at the top. And I'm going to add just a tiny little bit of green right in there and for the leaves. You don't have to have this. It's not a necessity. But if you bobble like I just did, then it's really nice to have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back with this black marker. And these remind me of black-eyed Susies, is what we used to call them when I was a kid and growing up on the farm. So in order to make it stand out a little bit more, look what a difference just putting that little bit of black in the middle makes for those. So you can use whatever colors you like. I happen to like the Mossy Meta for the vases and the greenery. This is Highland Heather for the tulips, and this is Poppy Parade for whatever rose type flowers those are. So you can see, you know, use whatever colors, use all the same colors, you know, whatever you choose. So now we're going to glue this piece onto this. I guess we might as well go ahead and put this just for you. I stamped this and then I just cut out a little rectangle. And you can do that with a pair of scissors as long as you can cut straight and draw, you know, a few light colored lines. So you don't have to have all the fancy stuff. I'm going to take this, and I thought that right here in this middle section was the best place to place the sentiment on this particular card. You just want to make sure that it's perfectly level. And that's what I'm trying to achieve. I'm not sure I'm there yet, but I'm trying. Okay. I apologize for my green thumb there that I got covered up a minute ago. I believe that'll be good. Okay. Now then, you rub a little bit of that off. It stains until you get some soap and water on it, and then it washes right off. All right. I'm going to put this on. The Mossy Meadow. And I do like using the thicker vanilla, very vanilla for this part of the card, because the thing I've learned, if you use the really thin, it will, I mean, you can use it, but you've got to be really, really careful if you're going to use glue, because it will, you'll see the glue through the thinner paper. And you don't have to worry about that with the thick paper. So there we go. It's on the Mossy Meadow, and as you can see, this Mossy Meadow picks up the color in the faces. And I really felt like we got a lot of different options for cards and what have you for this one little set. Frankly, I told my daughter, I mean, I guess I sort of feel this way a lot of times when I start making cards. I think, okay, what am I going to do with this, you know? And I get started, and I had expressed this to her, and I was showing her some of the cards I made, and she said, Mom, she said, I don't know why you were worried. She said, you've got lots of vases and things. Well, that was after I had the cards made, so, you know, I felt a lot better then, too. All right, that's the outside of the card. This is the inside, and this little heart, I just had a little stamp, and I just wanted to add it. You don't have to. If you want to, you can put draw your little red heart on there if you don't have a heart stamp. You know, I can't see sending you out to buy a heart stamp for, you know, just one little spot. Didn't make a lot of sense. Now, you can see I stamped on the back, and I didn't like the way it looked, so I flipped her over and re-stamped it on this side to get it the way I wanted it. If there's one thing you'll learn about me, is I make mistakes, and, you know, I spend as much time straightening out my mistakes probably as doing it right the first time, but in the end, as long as the card looks great, then, you know, that's what's important. All right, let's go ahead and glue this one into the inside here too. See if I can eyeball this about right. I think that'll be, as they say, pretty good. It's all pressed down good. And there you go. Simple little card, which I think turned out to look quite nice. And no dies, no special trimming equipment, no big shots necessary, just a simple little stamp set and some ink and a couple of kinds of paper. I would like to mention this week that I have been considering what I was going to do about that paper pumpkin kit that nobody entered because I didn't purchase anything, basically. So I guess everybody kind of figured that they wouldn't have a chance at it. So let's do it different this time. What I'd like for you to do, if you want a chance to enter and win that paper pumpkin kit from March, the birthday one, that has 2 sets of stamps in it. You can go back to one of my blog spots and see what all's in it. If you'll go to my website and leave me a comment, and, you know, I'm not sure whether it will show me your email or not, but just make sure that I have an email address so that if you should be the winner, I can get in contact with you. So we're going to let that run, let's say for, let's say until June 1st. That's just a tad over 2 weeks. And if you'll just go and leave me a comment and mention what cards you like. I mean, I'd kind of like to know, you know, what you like, what you don't like. So just tell me what your favorite card is, or your favorite set, or what have you. And I will enter you into a chance to win that paper pumpkin kit. I mean, how easy is that? It just takes a second of your time, and you don't have to purchase anything. We'll just do it that way. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm trying to con them, because I'm not. And I do want to give the kit away. I have it. It's brand new. It's in my possession. And, you know, we will, I'll put it back on my blog to be, you know, what the particulars are, which will be till June the 1st. Leave me a comment. So, I just got some of my new products today. The pre-order on the 2019-2020 catalog. The Stampin' Up! Yearly catalog comes out early June, and the public will have an opportunity to start purchasing at that time. So I have some new products to show you, and I'll try to use something of that for next week. And we'll show you some of those things. There are really some pretty paper, pretty DSP, and some nice sets and some nice die sets. So I'm going to dig in and see what I can come up with. And in the meantime, I hope you have a good week. And the good Lord willing, I'll be back in about a week and have another video and be able to show you something different and something new. So have a wonderful week. The good Lord bless you and keep you, and thank you for your time. Talk to you later.